Salam sejahtera, salam Malaysia Madani, and a very good day to everyone. I am Madam Caroline Anduk, a lecturer in the Language Department of IPG Campus student of the Razak. Distinguished lecturers, fellow educators, and future teachers, thank you for joining me today in this weekly Wacana Ilmu. Today, I would like to share a classroom instructional innovation, namely the Mr. Wonder email writing model, a scaffolded approach for developing young ESL email writers. This model grew from a very practical classroom question. How can we make email writing less intimidating, more memorable, and more achievable for a mixed ability group of pupils? This question inspired the development of this model. 3 weeks ago, I had the privilege to share this innovation with the pupils of SK Sarasot. It's a 2-hour writing workshop to prepare the pupils for UASA and the UPDLP assessment. So instead of asking pupils to memorize a list of email components, Mr. Wonder turns those abstract components into a friendly visual character. Through modeling, guided practice, and differentiated independent writing, pupils gradually move from needing strong teacher support to writing with greater confidence. In the sharing, I will explain the thinking behind the model, walk you through 3 instructional stages, and share how it was applied during the workshop. Why email writing? Yes, fellow educators and future teachers, email writing has been an essential 21st century communication skill. In UASA assessment, pupils are expected to write grammatically, correct sentences, communicate ideas clearly and purposefully, and complete writing tasks independently. These are reasonable expectations, but they can feel very demanding to a young writer. For many pupils, the real difficulty begins with the blank page. They may not know where to start. They may have an idea, but struggle to construct a sentence. Some can answer oral questions confidently, yet cannot generate ideas independently when asked to write. That hesitation is what I refer to as a blank page anxiety. So the issue is not simply, can the pupil write? The more useful question is, what support does this pupil need in order to begin, organize ideas, and experience success? The Mr. Wonder model responds to that question by making the writing process visible and manageable. Let us look at the pedagogical engine of this model. This model combines 2 big ideas, scaffolded writing and the gradual release of responsibility. Scaffolding provides temporary support for tasks that pupils cannot yet complete alone. The teacher may model a process, supply prompts, provide sentence starters, organize vocabulary, or guide pupils through questioning. The important point is that the support is temporary. As pupils develop competence and confidence, that support is gradually reduced. This approach is grounded in Vygotski's zone of proximal development, where learning occurs most effectively when appropriate support is provided. The gradual release framework gives this support a clear progression. We move from teacher modeling to shared responsibility, and finally to independent application. When these two ideas work together, the aim is not merely to complete the email. The aim is to develop independent and confident writers. I describe the progression as a staircase because pupils do not move from dependent to independent in one sudden jump. At level 1, the teacher carries most of the responsibility by modeling how an email is planned and written. At level 2, Mr. Wonder guides me. The teacher and the pupil share the task through shared and guided practice. At level 3, pupils apply what they have learned with much less support. As we move up the staircase, teacher support decreases while pupils' independence increases. However, the movement is flexible. If pupils need further support, we can step back, model again, and guide them forward. To make email structure memorable, I introduce what I call the law of email gravity. Online, we do not have our tone or voice, facial expression of gesture. We mainly have our words. This means the structure and choice of language must help the reader understand both our message and our intention. A well-built email is balanced. It delivers the message clearly, politely, and in a logical order. When important pieces are missing, the email becomes confusing. So, even it can be demanding and even impolite. And just like an unstable wall, the structure begins to fall. The gravity metaphor gives pupil a simple reason for including every component. Each part helps the whole email stand. This is where Mr. Wonder enters as a friendly writing mentor. Rather than presenting email writing as an intimidating examination task, I invite pupils to explore it as a learning journey with a simple guide. Mr. Wonder wears 5 important pieces of clothing, and each pieces represent one part of a complete email. The greeting, the opening, the body, the closing, and the sign off. The visual association reduces the amount of abstract information pupils need to hold in their minds. Instead of recalling 5 disconnected labels, they can mentally picture one complete character. The character is not simply decorative, he is a visual organizer and a memory cue that pupils can return to throughout the lesson. Let us look more closely at the anatomy of the email. The head represents the greeting. It sits at the top and politely addresses the reader. For example, Dear Mr. Davis. The smile represents the opening. It creates a warm beginning such as I hope you are well. The shirt represents the body, which carries the main message, facts, and explanation. The trousers represent the closing. They wrap up the message and tell the reader what happens next. For example, thank you for your help. Finally, the shoes represent the sign off. They complete the email with expressions such as best wishes or love, followed by the writer's name. The metaphor gives every component a location. a purpose, and an example. Pupils are therefore learning more than labels. They are learning the function of each part. So, after introducing the 5 components, pupils take part in the Label Mr. Wonder activity. They match each part of the character with the correct email element and useful phrases. This activity works as an early bridge between recognition and production. Pupils first identify where a greeting, opening, body, closing, and sign off belong. Then they connect those labels with possible sentence structure. The teacher guides the process. Pupils label the character, and the completed email becomes a visual reference for the writing task that follows. In other words, pupils are beginning to build an email before they are asked to write one independently. Here comes the second warm-up activity, the email detective activity. Pupils become email detective and work in groups of 3. They examine sample emails and decide whether each one belongs on the wall of fame or the wall of shame. Their task is to identify missing clothing, in other words, missing email components, and to fact-check the structure. These turn pupils from passive receiver into active learners. They must explain what works, what is missing, and how the message could be improved. The activity also encourages critical thinking before pupils pick up a pen. By learning to notice structure in someone else's writing, they become better prepared to monitor the structure in their own. Here we can see the contrast more clearly. The Wall of Fame email contained the expected elements: a polite greeting, a friendly opening, a clear request, appreciation, and a suitable sign-off. The reader knows who is being addressed, what is needed, and how the writer intends the message to sound. The Wall of Shame example: send me the math sheet, may communicate the basic demand, but it has no greeting, no context, reason, or polite closing. This comparison helps people understand that email structure is not just an examination checklist. It affects meaning, tone, and the relationship between writers and reader. We now enter stage 1. Mr. Wonder helps me, or the I do stage. Here the teacher provides maximum support and makes the invisible thinking process visible. I introduce the part of the email, model how the writing develops, think aloud while choosing ideas, and demonstrate sentence construction, visual organizer, guided templates, vocabulary banks, and sentence structure form the pupil safety net. During modeling, I repeatedly ask, does the email has a hat? Is the smile friendly? Is the body full of clear details? Is Mr. Wonder wearing his trousers? And are his shoes tight? These playful questions are actually structural check. They give pupils a repeatable self-monitoring routine without overwhelming them with technical terminology. At this stage, Sentence starters reduce the cognitive load of beginning an email. Pupils do not have to create every phrase from nothing while also remembering structure, vocabulary, spelling, and punctuation. For the greeting, they may choose dear, hi, or hello. For the opening, they can use how are you or I hope you are well. The body is supported with sequencing words such as first, next, and finally. For the closing, pupil may write, I hope to hear from you soon or take care. They then can select suitable sign-offs such as love, best wishes, or your friend. These are not scripts that pupils must copy forever. They are temporary language support that helps pupil experience a successful first attempt. Once the structure is familiar, pupils need ideas to place inside it. A rich picture prompt gives everyone a shared starting point. In this spark scene, pupils can immediately identify action such as eating and drinking, flying kites, riding bikes, reading books, jogging, or playing frisbee. The teacher can model how to turn this visible action into useful words, phrases, and then complete sentences. This is especially helpful for pupils who say, I don't know what to write. The ideas are already presented in the image. Our job is to help pupils notice, select, and organize them. So this visual summarizes stage 1. As a class, we look at some picture and build an email together. Pupils suggest ideas and phrases. I record their responses, ask them and guide them with questions. Think aloud as we decide what should be included. For example, I may ask, which activity should we mention first? How can we connect these two ideas? Which closing sounds suitable for the reader? The teacher still controls the pen, but the content is jointly constructed. These allow pupils to participate in decision-making while observing how ideas become an organized email. So here you can see the worksheet that is used in stage 1, which has a lot of help. We have stages of greeting, opening, body, closing, and sign off. So this actually helps people to write in the first stage. Now we move to stage 2. In stage 2, responsibility is now shared more deliberately between teacher and pupils. Pupils continue to suggest idea aloud. They complete partial writing emails. They collaborate in groups and begin making their own choices about vocabulary and sentence structure. My role shifts from demonstrating every step to prompting, questioning, and giving feedback when needed. This is a crucial point in the progression. Teacher support is reduced gradually, but a safety net remains. Pupils have space to try, discuss, and revise without feeling that they have been left alone too early. As they work in groups in stage 2, we provide them with a new picture, visiting the zoo. The context changes, but the thinking routine remains familiar. Pupils identify possible details: eating ice cream, watching animals play, riding bicycle, looking at lions and tiger, or feeding the goats. Because they already know the Mr. Wonder structure, more of their attention can now move towards selecting relevant content and expressing it clearly. Keeping the structure stable while changing the context help pupils transfer the skill rather than simply memorize one model answer. So, to summarize stage 2, I can put it this way. Pupils move from guided writing in group of 3. Each group studies the picture, brainstorm suitable ideas, and organize those ideas before writing. The smaller group gives every pupil a greater opportunity to contribute. They can rehearse language orally, compare ideas, and support one another. These groups can be mixed ability or can be in the same level. Meanwhile, they are doing that, I move around and listen to their discussion, provide targeted prompt rather than supplying the entire answer. Responsibility is gradually shifting. Pupils are now doing more of the thinking while the teacher intervenes only when where the scaffolding is still needed. This is referring to the mixed ability groups or the group with low proficiency level. Now we move to stage number 3. Mr. Wonder, trust me, you do. So the teacher shifts from being the primary source of knowledge to a background facilitator. At this stage, pupils generate ideas independently, organize their own writing structure, edit and improve their work, show evidence of becoming independent writers. This does not mean the teacher disappears. I remain available to observe, confer, and provide focus assistance, but I no longer lead every decision. The message to people is important. You have practiced this, you have the tools, and now you are ready to apply them. The independent writing stage follows a simple sequence: look, write, and then check or share. First, pupils observe the picture carefully and identify possible ideas. Second, they write independently using one of the 3 differentiated worksheets. Pupils work with level 1 and 2 will complete peer checking using a checklist to review the email components and basic language features. Pupils working with level 3 share their completed emails with the class, allowing them to explain their choices and celebrate successful writing. The final step is not merely correction, it develops ownership. Pupils learn that writers reread, improve, and communicate their work to a real audience. Important element of this model is differentiation. Differentiation is built into the independent stage so that all pupils work toward the same meaningful outcome, which is writing an email, but they receive different level of support. Level 1 is highly scaffolded with strong prompt and more visible guidance. Level 2 is moderately guided, leaving more decision to the pupils. Level 3 provides a more independent task for pupils who are ready to organize and produce the email with minimal support. This level should not be treated as permanent level for ability. They are entry points based on current readiness. A pupil may need strong support today and less support in the later tasks. The purpose is fair participation. Every pupil can access the task, experience success, and continue progressing. As you can see, the assignment or the task has the same instruction, which is write an email to your cousin or to your friend describing your past holiday. So we have level 1 and level 2 and level 3 depending on the proficiency of the students. This model was applied during the English camp at SK Rasut. The photograph on this slide provides classroom evidence of pupils engaging with the visual prompts, discussing ideas, and completing the writing activities. From my observation, the visual character and the prompts attracted pupils' attention and helped sustain their participation. Pupils showed a clearer awareness of the email structure, and many who initially claimed I cannot write an email were able to complete one with the appropriate level of support. I present this as encouraging, practice-based evidence rather than a claim that one activity solves every writing difficulty. The most meaningful breakthrough was the change in pupils' willingness to begin. Once the task felt manageable, they were more prepared to try. Scaffolding from support to independence. The building analogy summarizes the purpose of scaffolding. During learning, some pupils need models, prompts, guided practice, and feedback, just as building under construction needs temporary support. However, scaffolding is not intended to remain forever. It is gradually removed as the structure becomes stronger. In the second image, pupils apply the skill independently because the underlying understanding is now more secure. The key principle is this: scaffolding is temporary, but independent is the goal. If we remove support too early, pupils may struggle. If we never remove it, pupil may become dependent. Effective teaching requires us to notice when to provide, to reduce, and briefly restore that support. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to close with this reminder. Our role is not merely to teach writing, it is to build confidence, reduce anxiety, and empower pupils to believe I can write. The Mr. Wonder model is one practical way of doing that. We model clearly, guide systematically, and release responsibility gradually. We use a memorable visual to make structure visible, provide language support when it is needed, and differentiate the independent tasks so that every pupil has a genuine point of success. We should not expect immediate independence. Every confident writer was once a hesitant learner who needed someone to guide them. When the support is purposeful and gradually withdrawn, pupils do more than complete an email. They begin to see themselves as writers. Thank you for your time and attention. I hope Mr. Wonder email writing model offers you a practical idea that you can adapt for your own learners. Till we meet again, I'm Madam Caroline, signing off.